Practitioners are fully aware of the rapidity and volume of change in the law, but does much really change in learning and development?
Well, I guess the amazing thing is that learning and development has a whole huge number of specialists out there, just like law does. And yes, of course it changes because things become popular or new tools are available. So I guess when I started out in law, all you ever got was reading a book or going to a lecture, and that was really all that was on offer. But now there's so much available, isn't there? So therefore there's new techniques. So if you think about it in learning and development, you could be watching a webinar. So obviously someone's got to learn how to do that, and someone's got to get used to listening and learning from that, and how they can make the most of learning from a webinar rather than going to a lecture. Equally, you could be tracking things, learning how you do skills. Of course, for years you could video yourself doing it. Now people could do it on mobile phone. Equally, there's difference in ages, you know. There's some really interesting research that's come through on generational learning. So people like me who are baby boomers were brought up on the radio and television, so we quite like listening. We like listening to podcasts, we like listening to lectures, because that's how we picked up information all our lives. But generations coming behind us, they like to do things differently. So Generation X might like to get involved in doing things, and so they would like to be able to be given a task in a learning session and told go and find information about this and then come back. So they might therefore have a workshop type arrangement where they go off and do some research on the internet, come back and say I found this, this and this, and we might say, well, what's the quality of these answers? How does this help with research on this question? How would we apply that to a client matter? So very different technique. And so you're trying to basically create case studies, you're trying to give them ideas about research. And then there, of course, are people who don't really like dealing with other people to learn. They like to be left to themselves. And of course, many of us could be in that situation, whatever our age. But when we're in that situation, of course, how do you test that they actually learnt the right stuff? And these days, that's quite challenging because the internet's there. I have many solicitors say to me, well, I just Googled it. Great, Google's fantastic, but what's the quality of what you found? Is it a freebie website that's got no validity to it, or were you going on a paid site that your firm subscribes to, like Westlaw or LexisNexis or something, and so hopefully there is substance behind it. And it's amazing how many youngsters will Google something and they won't use Westlaw and LexisNexis, even though there are tools in the office. Equally, senior people don't want to learn how to use Westlaw and LexisNexis, even though the firm's paying a fortune to subscribe to them, and they go off and Google something, it could go down a rabbit hole. So I think there are differences in learning technology, and there's learning and development using technology to enhance what you've learnt. So yes, we've got to learn how the brain works. There's been loads of research on that. There's lots of different technologies that we didn't have to worry about. We just stood up and spoke. Those are all out there, and it's all about finding the right blend and making sure people are using suitable tools for the right learning.